Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome again to another show of It Matters with me. As you can see, I may have a different hairdo this time around simply because, I haven't gone cuckoo. It's just a matter of trying new things in this pandemic world. Speaking of pandemic world, it seems like some countries are slowly recovering and some are starting to feel the burden of the pandemic. And I just want to take this time to wish everybody who's going through a difficult time to stay strong, stay hopeful. There's plenty of things coming and whatnot. To start today's show with another guest all the way from the former Yugoslavia, the land of the Balkans, we like to call it. She's live streaming with us all the way from Maribor, Slovenia. She represents a special fund called the Slovene Enterprise Fund and holds the advisor role for international affairs and development. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on our guest, Anja Kupcic. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm glad that we finally made the time. And as always, you can see even before the show, I was telling you how excited I am to have a guest from a very favorite region of mine, which is the Balkans. So Anja, before you joined the Slovene Enterprise Fund, would you mind telling us a bit more about your history? You know, like how did you get into this field particularly, and what makes you feel like this is something that you really want to do for the rest of your life?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. Thank you for the question. Well, I always had like a big interest in public policy on one hand, and then on the other hand in the business sector. So even when after my high school, when I started to make thinking about my professional decision entering the university, I chose the study of European Studies at our Faculty of Social Sciences in Ljubljana, and where I got in touch with European policies, law, business, international environment, and all this. So from there on, I continued my master thesis in business, in strategic and project management. I was also doing my internship at University of Newcastle in England, where I firstly got in touch with that connection between public and private sector, so with university there on one part and business sector on the other, and just the benefits and opportunities of collaboration between those two spheres. And so that path is I'm following from the past few years, I would say. And when I got back to Slovenia, some job opportunity offered here in Slovene Enterprise Fund, so I just went for it, and here I am now, just doing what I aspired in the past.
Oh, that's fantastic. Very sales-smoothing journey to put yourself.
It was. Yes, it was. Sometimes I'm surprised even by myself because everything just went so smoothly. Like if I would write down my professional path, this is exactly how would I imagine it. And I'm just grateful I got all those learning and professional opportunities so far. And hopefully the same will go in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't believe it's luck. I think it's purely you work your best to take good care of yourself to get to where you are now. It is what it is. And I'm just curious to know, being part of the Slovenian Enterprise Fund, or how would you pronounce it in Slovenian again? It's Podjetniški sklad. Is that how you say it?
Slovenski podjetniški sklad.
Slovenski podjetniški sklad. Okay, got it.
Yes.
All right, so tell us more about this interesting fund, because it's specifically known as a social enterprise fund. Of course, maybe terminology-wise, in Southeast Asia, social enterprise is known to be more of a less a business that's actually a proper business, but has more of a B Corp type functionality to also impact communities and beneficiaries of their target or environment related. So would that be the same kind of fund we're talking about, or would you mind?
Yes, it's the same, but we are also here for social enterprises, but we don't stop just there. So we are including them in our target beneficiaries. But if I can say in general, we are public financial fund, especially for support of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. So if a certain social enterprise falls within those criteria, of course, we are also benefiting them. But more general, we are for here offering different financial and substantive support for all kind of small, medium, and medium and micro-sized enterprises.
And what's the problem of having such a as a entity, the Slovenian Enterprise Fund? What's the problem that you guys are really seeing that emerged this Slovenian Enterprise Fund to come in and try to elevate or mitigate or provide resources? So what is that challenge that you are seeing there to have such an institution?
Well, the challenge here is simply to have one institution to link all the national and also European funds, all the instruments that are developing on this policy, national and supranational policy level, and just to link them to the business sector, to enterprises that need support, that need to grow, that need to internationalize, and at the same way just follow some same path. Let's say nowadays when we are talking about the environmental challenges and so on, I really think that we all need to be in line with certain criteria. And so bringing those strategies on one hand in line with national, and on the other hand with business strategies, just to combine those two.
So that means it's not just about getting capital for social enterprises to get them working. It's also about different kinds of components, such as maybe access or...
yes.
Okay. So
yes, so we are just with different also financial and substantive support, as I said, and we are also encouraging those, for example, digital transformation, circular economy for all enterprises, with also giving them financial support, but especially for those components of business that is important nowadays to just transform our economy in more substantive way.
And are there mostly Slovenian-based social enterprises that you're focusing on, or it's a wider range of different social enterprises that you can have them part of your program or initiative? How does that go?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I mean, is it restricted only to Slovenian-based social enterprises?
Yes, it is. Okay. So we are also only working for Slovenian-based companies, giving support for them. So one of the restrictions it is that it has to be registered in Slovenia. But we are also collaborating with different international actors and with different international organizations, and with their help, we are also connecting our enterprises with enterprises from abroad. Also working together on different international development projects and so on. And within those projects, we can really connect more globally our companies with others.
Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
And my important question here also is about, I mean, in Europe and in Asia, there's of course different various ways of tackling specific real problems that's within the demography, right? Within the environment of the country, the region. Mm-hmm. In the case of Europe, what are those types of entities that you're looking to mostly help? And what is the target areas that they're focusing on to solve? Is it mainly about energy, because we've heard about that so many times with many different European partners that we've talked to. Some of them talk about ESG, which is the new way of trying to get more Fortune 500 companies to adopt as a way of doing business. Some even talk about purely about replacement of helping the refugee situation in Europe. I'm not sure what's the situation now, but that was one of the very hottest topics for the past 7-8 years. So what is the target area now that's considered one of the most concerning issues for Europe in this case?
Well, at this point, I think circular economy and digitalization is like the most important topic when we're talking about creation of new development strategies for Europe. And also in events of current crisis, COVID crisis, also just biotechnology and nanotechnology, biopharmacy is really important. And just for in this area, we just started with one international project, actually with Cuba, in the framework of UNIDO, so United Nations Industrial Development Organization. With their help, we are connecting our enterprises working in this field with Cuban enterprises, and this is one good example. It's actually a pilot project. How can we hopefully get to some joint ventures, to some joint initiatives, joint programs, projects, and which can have like social, economic, and social effects. So especially in very famous biopharmacy sector now.
Okay, great. And if I were to play a bit of devil's advocate here, would you think without the existence of such fund, the Slovenian Enterprise Fund, what would have happened to some of these social enterprises who are needing the help that they can? I mean, would they still have direct access to, say, the European Union Development Fund, for example, or something similar? Or are there existing similar entities like you within Slovenia or within the region? What would it be?
Sorry for interrupting. Well, we are the only fund like that in Slovenia. So what would happen, like, especially now in COVID crisis, it shows more important than ever how we can help those companies with just fundamental liquidity problems. So as we know, some businesses were shutting down. There were trouble to operate on daily basis. So some could transform in some way. Some, for example, hospitality and tourism sector just had to shut down completely. And we were just here being able to provide with them, like with quick liquidity support, so they could just like keep going on in those difficult times. And the demand for our product, for those financial initiatives, just grew like 2-3 times in that time. And I'm happy that we were able to support more than 8,000 companies in the past year, which may not sound a lot for some countries, but Slovenia only has 2 million people, and being able to just distribute nearly around 200 million euros, and just to help business sector here, this was, I think, a very important role here of our fund.
I mean, 8,000 companies and a few $100 million of GMV. That's incredibly impressive for a small country like Slovenia. I mean, I'm sure we can learn a lot for those who are based in Southeast Asia or even in Africa. What things can we learn from you that you guys are doing different than any other similar entities out there?
Well, the thing is that you just really have to observe the business environment, see their needs, help them in any way possible, also learn from our European Commission, learn from there. What can you bring to the business sector here, and what can business sector ask or bring to that national level. And I think it is so important to just establish that link between those two spheres and help each other. And because every business at the beginning, it's hard to establish, and startups need some financial support usually right at the beginning, and just any kind of national support at that level, I think, is important, and it proved to be very favorable in the later stages and for just the whole economic situation of the country.
And I'm assuming also that you also work closely with different government levels as well, maybe.
Yes, mostly with Ministry of Economic Development and Technology. We are getting most funding for them to provide our enterprises with, but also with European Union, and those structural funds that exist.
Okay. Now, the most frequent asked question most social enterprise will ask to a similar entity like yours here in Malaysia or in other parts of the world in Southeast Asia will be, how fast can I get my fund? So usually, in your case, how fast is it for your fund?
How fast the enterprise can get funding.
Yeah.
But it really depends on, so what are you applying for? We have some really fast, more small amounts of funding for different business models. And here we are talking about, I don't know, from the application until up to 15 days for approval. But then if you're applying for something, some bigger amounts, for example, some microcredits or some guarantees or seed capital, it really depends what the demand is. But I would say, like, from the beginning to the end, like up to 1-2 months.
That's very fast.
As I said, depends. Nowadays, when we had like bigger demand, it goes. Obviously, the process is longer. There are more applications and so on. But usually, how we are doing things is we publish a public tender where all the measures, all the criteria are specified. So. And we are like set up a certain date when the SMEs have to apply. And after that, the whole process of decision making goes on. So depends, but obviously we try to be as fast as possible, especially nowadays, as fast as possible and as efficient as possible to really provide those in it.
So what would be your proudest moment working with the Slovenian Enterprise Fund be? You could share anything. It's about maybe you.
Proudest moment. I would say like the happiest moment, maybe when you just simply hear some director of certain company or enterprise just giving you their thank you for all you're doing. You really helped us. This was great. Just giving you some feedback that you're really working well and that you're helping them, so that you're like achieving your main objective here. This is always good to hear.
I mean, that is always great to hear, actually. I think everybody could agree to that unanimously, getting.
Because it's always so much easier just to criticize and to hear some critics, how you're not doing enough. But there are a few good moments, few good enterprises that acknowledge that work and can also say it out loud. I think that's.
No, for sure. I really value you for sharing that moment, because I think many people would, they would not ask for it, but to get that kind of gesture from someone that you're helping is always the most rewarding part in this kind of business process, So we know time flies when we're having fun, because we're almost out of time. But I was wondering if you could share a few advices or maybe some words you want to say to our audience on those who are currently struggling with the current pandemic. For your information, Malaysia alone has been in a lockdown for 560 days now. So it's very different than most part of the world. So any kind of advice you would want to say, or any lending support of words you would want to say to the audience?
Well, just stay optimistic. I'm sure the brighter future is in front of us, and in every hard times, from every hard situation, we just get out stronger. And let's just take this as some lesson, some opportunity for the future when we can build ourselves better and just society around us.
Well, Anja Kupcic, thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. For those who are watching, if you want to find out more, and if you're Slovenian by any chance and you watching this show, please go to their website. I've added here for you on the banner here. Don't be shy and go make epic stuff until it's legit. Thank you so much for listening to our show, and we'll see you again. Thank you, Anja.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.